Recently, I gave my mom, my mother-in-law, MIL, and my two bridesmaids each $350 for their hair and makeup on my wedding day. I wanted them to look and feel beautiful without worrying about the cost. My plan was simple. I would cover the main expense, and anything extra would be up to them. At first, everyone seemed excited and thankful for the gesture. My wedding was supposed to be a joyous occasion, filled with love and laughter, and I truly hoped it would stay that way. On the day of the wedding, I was full of nerves and excitement. The sun was shining, the venue looked lovely, and my dress fit just right. My bridesmaids were in the next room getting ready, laughing and chatting. My mother was helping me adjust the neckline of my gown while also calming my jitters. Everything felt like it was falling into place. I had just finished squeezing into my gown when, out of nowhere, my mother-in-law burst into the room. Her face was tense, and she held an envelope in her shaking hand. She didn't bother knocking or calling my name. She simply pushed open the door and stormed in. My heart skipped a beat when I saw the anger in her eyes. She flung the envelope at me and, with a sharp tone, demanded I open it immediately. Confused, I reached down and picked it up. Inside, I found a handwritten note listing various costs. Hair, $350. Makeup, $300. Dress, $500. Underneath that, she had scribbled, "Your $350 was nothing. Pay the entire bill." Shock washed over me. My mind spun with questions. What on earth was she talking about? I had given her $350 specifically for hair and makeup, which I believed was enough. How did a dress fee even factor in here? And whose dress was this $500 for? Before I could ask or even open my mouth to speak, my mother-in-law crossed her arms and glared at me. Her voice was loud and firm as she said, "You think you can just toss a little money at me? I am your mother-in-law, and I don't need your cheap handouts. I deserve to have my entire cost covered by you and my son. This is your wedding, after all." My cheeks burned with frustration and hurt. This day was supposed to be special, but here she was, demanding more money instead of celebrating. Just as I was about to reply, my own mother, who had overheard the entire conversation from the hallway, walked in. She looked more furious than I had ever seen her. She brushed past my mother-in-law and stood by my side, placing a protective hand on my shoulder. My mom spoke through clenched teeth, her voice steady but filled with anger. "How dare you come in here and ruin my daughter's wedding day with your demands? She gave you a generous gift of $350, plenty for hair and makeup. This extra list of costs you made up is unacceptable." She held my mother-in-law's gaze with a fierce determination, showing that she would not be bullied. My mother-in-law turned her anger toward my mom, snapping back, "This is a family event and I am family too. If your daughter can spend thousands of dollars on a fancy venue, then she can cover my extra expenses. It's only fair." My throat felt tight. This was all happening so fast, and I struggled to keep my emotions in check. I wanted to scream or burst into tears. The wedding was due to start in just a couple of hours, and instead of feeling butterflies of excitement, I felt a burning knot of anxiety in my stomach. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that I needed to keep calm for the sake of everyone else. My groom, my bridesmaids, and especially myself. My mom refused to back down. "No," she said firmly. "It isn't fair. You were given money to cover hair and makeup. We never agreed to pay for some fancy designer dress you chose on your own. If you wanted more money, you should have asked calmly and politely, not barged in here shouting." My mother-in-law scoffed, crossing her arms again. "So this is how you're going to treat me? I'm your son's mother, and I deserve respect." She turned her eyes back to me. "If you don't pay this bill, then maybe I should just leave before the ceremony." Her words felt like a slap. My heart raced, and a swirl of panic filled my head. Was she really threatening to walk out of her own son's wedding if I didn't give her more money? I glanced at my mom, who raised her eyebrows in silent agreement that my mother-in-law's behavior was out of line. In that moment, I realized that I needed to stand my ground. I took a step forward, still feeling the weight of the wedding dress around me. "You already received $350, I said, doing my best to keep my voice calm. That was meant to cover hair and makeup. If you chose extra services or a more expensive dress, that is your choice. I never agreed to pay anything beyond that. This is my wedding day, and I don't have time for this argument." For a moment, my mother-in-law seemed stunned by my direct response. She opened her mouth as if to snap back, but my mom gently placed a hand on her arm and said, "Let's not make a scene. If you are truly unhappy, we can talk about it after the wedding." My mother-in-law let out an exasperated sigh. "Fine," she muttered, shooting me one last glare before stepping out of the room. My legs felt shaky. I sat down on a nearby chair, trying to catch my breath. My mom knelt beside me, smoothing out the skirt of my gown and whispering, "Don't let her ruin your day. Focus on the love you share with your future husband." Taking a few moments to collect myself, I finally managed a weak smile. My bridesmaids, who had been in the next room, peeked in and offered words of comfort. Their warmth and encouragement reminded me that not everyone is out to spoil this moment. After all, a wedding is supposed to be about love, unity, and celebration, not fights over money. Eventually, the time came for me to walk down the aisle. Even though the earlier confrontation weighed on my mind, I did my best to push it aside. Seeing my soon-to-be husband at the end of the aisle made me remember why we were all there in the first place. The ceremony was beautiful, and in that moment, I felt a sense of calm joy. Later at the reception, my mother-in-law did show up, but she kept her distance from me. No more demands were made, but I suspect she still holds a grudge. Part of me is sad that our relationship seems strained, but another part is relieved that I stood up for myself and did not cave to her demands. So now I have to ask, if you had been in my position, would you have paid the extra charges for the sake of peace? Or would you have stood firm the way I did?